Good evening, everyone. Lucky Lefty Podcast, ONORA boys. We're in the building, but I'm with a special guest. Malik is a little under the weather. So my big bro, Reggie Brooks, Notre Dame legend, decided to jump in because we're talking running backs today. And as always, we're brought to you by ONORA Whiskey, but it's courtesy of Bleav Network and FanDuel. Go download the FanDuel app and also FanDuel.com. One of the greatest values you can go get over at FanDuel right now, plus 4,000. Jeremiyah Love to win the Heisman at plus 4,000. That's fantastic value right there. Go over to FanDuel right now and grab that. And as you know, for every win and every show, we tell you, if you're going to sip on some ONORA whiskey, you have to make sure that you do it responsibly. Let's get to it, LL. Lucky Lefty Podcast, ONORA boys. We are back. We hope everyone had a grand weekend. Woo, 3 more weeks. The countdown is on. Miami, August 31st, the renewal of one of the greatest rivalries in all of college football. And I love Miami because they don't run from the rivalry like some of the West Coast schools, but I'm not even going to get into it. I am pleased to welcome in big brother of the program to myself and Malik, former Notre Dame running back, Notre Dame legend, who's going to help us talk about what the Fighting Irish need to do, expectations, what he feels like they need to improve upon to follow up last season with another successful season and maybe hoist a national championship trophy. And then we're going to hear from defensive coordinator Chris Ash. He says he's not changing much, but then he turns around and talks about what he does want to add to the defense because he said, I don't want them to be anything other than what they've been. I just want them to be better. So we're going to get to Chris Ash and hear what he has to say, to see if he's kind of double talking a little bit. I don't know. Maybe Reg can clarify some things for us. Then we're going to hear from running back coach JUAN SEIDER. Some great comments. His meeting with the media was insightful. He talked about how he took accountability. First of all, he hadn't been in a new position in a long time because he had been at Penn State for a long time. So that feeling of being the new guy was a little bit different for him. And walking into a talented room, I know he said one of the things that he loved is that even when he was at Penn State, he wasn't responsible for trying to stop Jeremiyah Love and Jadarian Price. So he really didn't have any pressure. He just had to make sure that when they scored, his guys scored, and he had a pretty good running back room at Penn State that he left behind coming to Notre Dame. We'll hear from JUAN SEIDER, and then we'll hear from all of the running backs on what they expect, what their goals are, and how they think this team is going to do this season. First of all, big bro, how are you feeling, man? How's your summer going? The family good?
Oh, family's doing good. Actually got our last one. She starts high school this year. So, and had the good news of welcoming last month, a couple of months ago, our first grandchild. So
congrats.
Life is going well. But again, Texas summer heat is brutal, but I'm good with the heat. I'm good. Every time I think about, oh man, it's just so hot. I think about Indiana, in particular that Indiana Notre Dame game. Glad I wasn't there. I've heard so many stories about how cold that was.
That's the only way to play the first college football game in Notre Dame Stadium. There's no other way to have it, Reg. Come on now.
Again, now if I'm playing in it is different from being in the States watching it. It's a whole different.
I remember on Lucky Legends when we forecasted that first game would be at Notre Dame Stadium. You were like, no, I won't be there. You were quite honest.
No. Good. I'm good. I'm good on that. I mean, I'm happy for the guys playing because that's an awesome environment.
Yeah.
And as you know, a former player, 100% with that's a game that you like look for because I remember playing in a few of those types of games. In particular, we played Penn State in a Snow Bowl. Mm-hmm. So I'm very, very comfortable. And again, and it being in Notre Dame Stadium too, that made it that much more legendary with the college football playoff system, in its new era.
Yeah. Lucky Lefty Podcast. Don't forget, subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. Help us out with the views. And then leave your comments and questions because we respond to all. And then you go to patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network. We hope to bring Reg and some of the former legends back for another year of the Players Only podcast each and every week during the season. And then if you want to follow us on social media, Twitter, X, TikTok, Instagram at Lucky Lefty Pod. Once again, courtesy of Bleav Network, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and in partnership with FanDuel. So, Reg, before we get to Chris Ash to start the show, I want to ask you, and I might put you on the spot because I was telling you before the show, I was carousing the internet on YouTube, and I saw the 89 opener against Virginia in the Meadowlands, which, by the way, had to be one of the worst football fields to play on ever. That thing was solid.
That stadium still has that distinction.
The vet was you played in the pro, yes.
Yeah, that was by far the worst, actual field. Now, again, don't get me wrong, that turf back in the day, not good.
Yeah. So I was watching you guys demolish a Virginia team that was well thought of, and next year, for the majority of the season, they were the number one team in the nation. And so they were a really good team. And you guys I think you guys ran the ball like 20 consecutive times or something crazy. It was almost like Lou was like, I'm not throwing it. Just dominate these dudes and just take their soul and will in the first quarter. It was just amazing to watch. But I was telling you, that reminded me of just how good Rodney Culver was watching that game. And I'm watching Anthony Johnson, Rodney Culver. They used Rocket in the backfield. Ricky Waters in the backfield. You on the sideline.
Yeah. That was a stacked backfield. No doubt about it. Not to mention Tony Rice running the option. he could do damage as well. One of the best leaders I've ever been around. But, that game, the thing I remember most about that game was nothing about the game. It was going to the Empire State Building and then going to, we actually got there early to go to Wall Street and ring the bell. And I always appreciated about Coach Holtz. Any, opportunity to help us experience something that most guys that were coming from where we came from wouldn't experience. He made those opportunities. He built those in to the things that we did. So all he asked us to do is go out and dominate on Saturday. So that's the least we could do.
I'm going to put you in the spot. The 89 running back room or the 2025 running back room in Notre Dame?
Again, it's hard to do a comparison because it's a different time. Like I said, the guys that I played with, we just ran the ball. Like if there was an interception thrown, the ball would not go up in the air again. And we dominated, like you said, we would take people's will to play. I don't think that's not the game today. So, I'm going to side with my guys because I played with them. I know what they're about. I know the blood, sweat, and tears that they went through and I went through with them. So, that was a no-brainer for me. But this current roster of running back, I'm shocked that they have that many. With all the, and I had the extreme pleasure of meeting Jadarian Price because, he's a Texas kid. Mm-hmm. And I love, and again, I don't know if the new coach is going to implement the same deal that, I've talked about this before, is spreading the ball around. And, these guys take, and that was kind of like, what it was with us. I mean, not, very seldom did you get one person that would carry the ball more than 10, 15 times at most. And we were running the ball 50 plus times a game. So the ball was distributed, and it actually helped. We didn't know it, but that actually helped our ability once we went to the pros because you didn't have a lot. You only have so many miles on your body as a running back and so many carries. And the more you can do to maximize efficiency and productivity, that's what the league is looking at. And you look at where these guys are, this current roster. Yeah, the guy that I'm looking forward to seeing is Kendron Young because I haven't seen him, and I'm not a big back. So, but I love the big back and the power back that change of pace. The guy that runs downhill, and but that kid's dang near 6 foot, 5'11", 6 foot, 240. That's a load coming out, and this is after you've had to deal with Jadarian Price, Jeremiah Love, Aeneas Williams. Jabron Payne is coming back. I mean, I'm really interested to hear what the running back coach has to say. Because what do you do with all that talent?
Yeah, it's interesting. What's the difference? Is there a huge difference between D-Mac and JUAN SEIDER? Is that going to be a big adjustment for those guys? Or will some of the guys that didn't get snaps last year kind of be energized because they feel like now they have an opportunity to get some snaps? How do you think the entire room is accepting to that new running back coach coming in after being super successful behind Dylan McCullough's leadership?
I mean, it's just the fact you haven't heard any rumblings. A lot of times if, especially around this time, like spring and going into, fall ball, people, especially nowadays, they're like, I'm out. Mm-hmm. It just seems like this group has a connection that they're all in for each other. And, and if that's happening, if that's the case, and nobody's trying to, jump ship, I think it's going to be extremely productive unit because, he doesn't have to come in and really, make a ton of changes. It's going to be interesting to see how he, breaks up the reps, because, a lot of people wanted to see more of Jeremiah. And, I really hope that he doesn't get the coaches don't get caught up in the Jeremiah love for the Heisman. Because, again, I'm sorry, as much as you would like it, it's very unlikely. It's kind of like the MVP in the NFL. It's a quarter. I mean, everything is geared around the quarterback. Does he have the capacity and capability? Yes. But I wouldn't do anything differently in terms of, creating a greater load on him physically to have to do more. Because, there's no need to put pressure on him. You got such a wealth of talent. Use it all. I would like to see a kind of an even push with the number of guys, and that everybody gets an opportunity. But it's he's the coach. He's gonna make that decision. I remember talking to Dylan when I was like, man, I would like to see more of Jeremiah Love running the ball. No, he had a system. So it's going to be interesting to see what the new coach system is like in terms of reps and opportunities.
I'm going to call an audible here, Reg. We were going to start with Chris Ash, but we got the lather going. We might as well go to JUAN SEIDER right now, who met with the media. And the first question he was asked was, we've been watching practices, and you guys have done a lot of work with Jadarian and Jeremiyah on the field at the same time. You've had two backs on the field. You know, what about that? And this is what Coach SEIDER had to say about that. Take a listen.
Well, we're trying to figure out what Notre Dame going to look like this year on offense. If that's one of our best group, then how can we get some of the better players on the field that's in that room? But also, it's a great matchup. Like, you know, my experience in that set, you know, even my days back at West Virginia, it's a problem for defense. You know, how do you defend it? Do you play a nickel defense? Do you play a base defense? And you keep three linebackers on? If you do, now we motion and get out, we got advantage. So it's all about what's going to give us an advantage to win, right? To get one more point than our opponent to win the game. And so those things we'll figure out as we go, but it's a good thing that we get to push it this offseason. I mean, offseason now in the summer to give us a chance to see what we do well, what we like, and what we don't like in the package.
All right, Reg, two backs. How you feeling about that?
Don't tease me. Don't tease me, man. Come on, Coach. Don't tease me. If you're gonna do it, just do it. Just do it, baby. And you know, Sean, I've been asking for this. Because that's again a difference between this day and age and back then. We kept two backs in the backfield. And you got those two guys. I mean, you come in and put Jabron Payne in there, Nias Williams, and then, like you said, motion them out, get them out, and that's the beauty of, like I said, this another beautiful thing that you have with this group. They're all really good guys out of the backfield, and I've said this multiple times. They do a hell of a job of pass pro. That is the aspect of it, of being able to put two backs in there and put pressure on the defense, but you got guys back there that can step up, take on the linebackers. Like I said, if they go, three linebackers, or if they go nickel, you got guys that can step up and take on those blocks, or get out there and get one-on-one. How would you like to see Jeremiyah Love one-on-one with one of them linebackers that's about 6'3", 230, 240? He can't keep up. Or if you get Jadarian Price out there on one of those smaller DBs in the nickel, boom, you just bully ball that guy. So, man, if they go two backs, oh, my God, that's going to be it's going to bring back some memories for sure.
What do you think is the one thing that will be an advantage? Because when you do that, most teams like Miami's playing a 4-2-5. So they spend a vast majority of the time in nickel. So how do you attack that if you have two backs and they're playing nickel? How do you expect Notre Dame to attack that?
I would say, like I said, some more you can play zone read, but you actually have a lead back that can block. So if you go from having to block a linebacker to a safety or a nickel back, that's easier. They said that's an easier block for either one of the backs. So if you have a Kendron Young in there, oh my gosh, he's going to destroy that kid. But the versatility that it gives you, but you can also run ISOs, you can run counters, because you have got two guys back there that can actually go. It gives you a two-way go where and then add the quarterback in the mix. If you're doing zone read, they're having to watch both ways, so you can't counter or you can't key on one guy. And especially if both those guys are available, that are good coming out of the backfield, that can get up on linebackers, option routes, seam routes. That is a lot of pressure on the defense, and not to mention the run game. If they're in two backs and they're in a nickel look, I'm running the ball. And if you have smaller guys, and you got two guys that can run, so you can do a zone read, you can do a sweep counter. You have a lot of ISOs either way. Quarterback ISO where you got two backs on. I mean, there's a ton of options that you have when you go to a two-back system where you have backs that have the ability to do multiple things.
You know what? I love playing point guard for you because you lead me right to the next thing we need to talk about. Because JUAN SEIDER was asked about the pass blocking and pass pro for his running backs. A little bit of a problem last year. You talked about that during the season.
We was at our best, and to be who we want to be and where we want to go, like it can't be an off day. It won't be an off day, especially me coaching. Like I'm gonna try to get the best out of them. And I thought today they brought their best. Like this to me, we attacked. You know, we talking about being the hammer, not the nail. Like a lot of times as a running back, the linebackers are naturally gonna be bigger than us, right? But if we can play with good pad level and we can have that big heart, that dog mentality where we're gonna get up on it, we're gonna strike, and we may lose. But in the end, we can build speed bump and get ran double low. Whatever it takes to get Kenny and CJ enough time to get the ball out, we got to own that responsibility. I want you to have the mentality when you block, it's like you carry the ball. Hey, it's 4th and 1. We got to win the game. You got to have that mindset. I got to find a way to get it done by all means necessary.
That's it. I mean, again, pass pro is not, a lot of people, like I said, technique. And for a running back, when you're going up against a big line, you have to strike quickly and close the gap because you don't want to give a guy a free run. A lot of times, like I said, with a back that's coming up, they're trying to measure the linebacker or the blitzer, and it's no. You get up there, close the gap between you and the rusher, and just like I said, get in the way and again, drop your hips, sink, punch, and try to just stay connected to the defender and keep him off the quarterback. And I don't care if it looks pretty. All it needs to be is effective. And whether you cut a guy, whether you strike him and hit him in the chest, butt him in the mouth, whatever it is, just keep him off the quarterback. Hey, you can back into him if you need to. If they start to spin, you spin and just stay in the way. Stay between the quarterback and the defender. That's your job. So I love that mentality and his approach. Again, we're going to be effective. A lot of people, like I said, they get so caught up on technique, they lose sight of, did you keep him off our quarterback? If that's the case, hey, great job, pat on the back, let's keep it going. And, we'll talk about technique, we'll work on that. But the fact that you stopped the defender and kept him off our quarterback, hey, that's a win. All day, every day.
Were you impressed? Jabron Payne goes down. He's lost for the season. Were you impressed? Because third down back is usually your best pass pro running back. Were you impressed that Aeneas Williams wrestled that responsibility away from the other guys in the running back room as a true freshman?
Oh, that kid has some tenacity. I mean, that was impressive. Because again, 9 times out of 10, the ball's going in the air. So, for him to be a freshman and not a big guy and get in there and compete, I do believe again that with the new coach, there's going to be a greater emphasis because, he talked about it before. There's going to be a greater emphasis on pass protection because, you got to keep your quarterback upright. You got to keep your quarterback healthy. And a lot of times you're the last line of defense. So you got to be able to pick up blitzes. You have to also pick up missed blocks by linemen, with those games. So making sure get up in there, stick your nose up in there, and just, like I said, get in the way. And, it's not holding unless they call it.
Yeah. Yeah. JUAN SEIDER also talked about his main guy, the Heisman hopeful, 40-1 over at FanDuel, none other than number 4.
Well, the good part, when I was on the other side, I didn't have to defend him. I had to just make sure if he scored, we scored. So it's fun, man. He's a kid that he just want to get better, and it's to continue to challenge him. You got a different coach with a different philosophy of teaching, so you get to elevate yourself. It might have been something good the last coach did well, but I know there's a lot of areas that the last coach probably didn't expertise in that. What's the right word? Tongue-tied a little bit from the sun, but like approaching the back end, like teach them courage, right? Teach them the front. So how those things work hand in hand, so allow him to take advantage when they're not in the gap or when I release him on a route, that he knows who got him. It's the corners, the wheel, it's the free safety coming down, so we can take advantage of those mismatch with his speed of playing outside the backfield. So he's a sponge, and I think he knows he want to get better, right? Because at the end of the day, he also got goals to play the next level, and it's also going to help him interview when he leaves Notre Dame, when he's go to the combine, when they ask him all these questions. So that's been my challenge. The spring was about knowledge, it's about growing him. Now it's time to put it together. It's time to put it together so when an opportunity comes down the road, we're ready for game one.
Coach talking that talk. I see you nodding your head when you're listening to him, Reggie. You like what he's saying. What is the benefit of the running back room, knowing the layers and the levels of the defense and how that impacts what they're going to do prior to the snap?
But your pre-snap read is critical because, like I said, if you understand, first of all, where the linemen lined up, which is it, zero technique, one technique, you got a 34 look, or do you have a 5-man front, 4-man line? All these things come into play based on what the play is of what you're going to see, the reaction. So you have to go in there and and this is all within a split second. You're dissecting. Okay, where first line, where's that secondary? Where's that linebacker? Where the linebacker's position? Where the defensive lineman, depending on if it's a run or pass. But like if it's a pass, okay, hey, is the safety coming down? Is he rolling down, or is he coming weak side? Play side. Where is my route? You're going? Is my route geared towards a seam or a dig or a quick out or a swing? Whatever the case may be, you have to know where guys are, and if you can process that information quickly, you're just reacting to that. The stimuli of where the defenders go, and you know where you're going. You know the play, you know the route, so you adjust your route or whatever your responsibility is based off of what you see pre-snap. And and again with Jeremiyah, I mean, just intelligent young man, and that's a lot of the guys in Notre Dame, intelligent young men. But there is something to be said about this. A lot of people focus on the physical aspects of the game, and his physical prowess is what it is. But it's the ability to process information quickly and execute whatever assignment that you have. And that's going to help him at the next level. And like Coach talked about, when you go to combine, and they ask some crazy questions.
I can imagine.
Some quite crazy questions. But again, if you have a perspective, you know who you are. And I had the pleasure of meeting Jeremiah Love's parents. That young man will be prepared. And again, he has another coach that understands the whole point is, again, yeah, we want to win and play well here, but you have an opportunity to go to the next level. So while I'm preparing you to compete and win games with Notre Dame, I also want to prepare you for that next challenge at the next level with the questions and in the meeting rooms and being able to process information, combines, all that stuff comes into play. And when you get into on a team, how quickly can you digest that playbook? Yeah. The more you can process information and understand the overall scheme of things, the better opportunity you have of getting on the field a lot sooner.
Then he talked about the aforementioned Aeneas Williams that we talked about, and he is super excited about Aeneas and referred to him as an old.
I just think, comparison to Thief of Joy, he needs to just be him and find ways to get better. It's only one Jalen. It's only one Aeneas. It's only one J. Learn from their older approach and how they approach what I think he does. Aeneas got an old man soul. Like, he's really probably one of the better leaders in the room. He just got to be him. Things I challenged him all season to work on flexibility. He a little high cut, so you got to sink his hips a little better because that'll show up third and fourth down. You got to run. If you don't get your hips low, like, you're going to get knocked back instead of defense. So, and even in pass pro, like, you need those things. So we've been talking about that area and then taking the next step, not just for him, but the whole room.
See, that's all. Again, kid comes a freshman. Again, like I said, little back, leverage is the key. That's low man wins. That's all, because you have the power. And the more you can compact yourself and strike, but do it in a controlled manner. So again, you're not out there just diving head down. You're looking at it, you controlled, but you're going with force and pace. And again, you want to deliver the blow, because as a small back, you don't want to take a blow, because them some big fellas. There's some big fellas out there, and you want to take advantage of every opportunity you have and every advantage that you have to get to them first, and you strike them before they strike you.
I remember talking to CJ Procyse, one of your fellow brothers, and he's like, man, I wish Tarian never got hurt, because I would have stayed at wide receiver and lasted a long time in the NFL, because it's different. It's different. It's very different. Every level you go up.
And you're starting to see it now. Like I said, I really like that. I like that. Would love to see them do it with, like, the Netflix deal. They had quarterbacks and then receivers. I would love to see them do running backs, because again, I feel the running back position has somewhat been devalued to a point. Now, again, you got guys like Christian McCaffrey, your boy in Philly,
Barkley,
Derek and
Derrick Henry in
Baltimore, different runners. Kyron Williams in San Diego. I mean, LA Rams. But the difference now is you're being tasked you're getting hit every play pretty much. Either you're blocking, you're running, or you're catching. So there's a lot of opportunities for contact, similar to like tight ends and offensive linemen, that receivers, they're not going to have. They're not going to have a lot of contact. And quarterbacks are not going to have a lot of contact, other than getting sacked if you got a crappy offensive line. But running backs, they're hitting just about every play. I don't know of any play that, especially now with the one back system, which again, it is what it is. But I'm a believer in the two back system. But I'm old, so that's just old school way. But it's just how the more that they can take advantage of having such a huge running back room and the competition. And a lot of people say, again, you're competing against someone. I look at it as we competed with each other. Yeah, we all wanted the ball, but we all wanted, something better for the guy. We were rooting for each other. But you went in there with the mindset and said, okay, hey, so-and-so did this. I'm going to go in there and show them what I can do. I'm going to take full advantage of every opportunity that I get. Because same with Aeneas, he's trying to make it to the next level. Okay, what are the things you need to do to get better? To show you're a complete back. And even if you aren't just a third down back in the league, you have an opportunity here. And I love, what Coach is saying. He's showcasing, and again, showcasing their and highlighting their talent, but also, okay, here's what you can do to get better. And we're going to work on that while emphasizing, the talent and the success and your skill set that you have. We're going to work that, but we're also going to work to address any deficiencies at the same time.
Well, not only did he talk about Aeneas Williams, but that big Bronco, 240 pounds from down there in the Lone Star State, none other than Keedron Young. He talked about him as well, Reg, and he asked him what the heck was up last year.
To me, it started in spring. Like, he made himself known. Like, I asked him what happened last year, because I was like, dude, you were too talented. What happened to you? Was you know what I mean? Did you rest? Like, I just started from ground zero. I really didn't want to watch film. I just wanted to get out there and form my own opinion. He's a kid who's ready to play. Keegan will play this year. I don't know the roles yet, right? But he's a kid that's tough. He's physical. He's a load to bring down. He's lean. He's big body. It's gonna be hard for people to attack him one-on-one. So I think he's got a bright future. The one thing I can say about the whole room, so refreshing to be unselfish. Now, I think when you talk to these kids, kudos to them. And we had every kid come back, and the world was easy to transfer and go chase money. Every kid stayed the course. They know J Love here. They know Jadarian here. They waiting their time. And to me, I can't thank that room enough. And I tell them all the time, man, like, I appreciate you guys being unselfish. Like, I just want to say that as they coach, to come in this room, new coach, nobody leave, and they stayed in a crowded room.
Yeah, and that's a testament to Dylan. That's a testament to, because I remember talking to him, and he was like, man, I got to recruit my room every year, let alone going out recruiting new guys to come in. And when he talked about how he spoke to the players, and he didn't, like I said, again, spoke to them individually, but he also spoke to them as a group and just got them to understand and to buy into, like, waiting your turn is not just sitting on the bench. It's getting better, improving, and pushing the guys in front of you. Yeah, because why is J Love so good? Why is Jadarian so good? Is because they got guys like Aeneas Williams, Jabron Payne, and Kendrick Young saying, hey, I'm coming for you. And if you keep doing that, that's making them better. It's making yourself better. So, and that's going to translate on the field, but it's also going to translate to the next level, because production is the priority over a ton of yards. Like you said, you can rush for over 1,000 yards, but if you're only averaging, 3.5, 4 yards a carry, that's like, that's okay. But how you just got a lot of miles on your body. But if you rush for 500-600 yards, but you're averaging 5.5 yards a carry, that's going to strike. Because again, when you look at it, you're talking about a first down every 2 times you touch the ball, versus it takes 3 touches for the other guy. And that's just simple production. And you look at how, even in the league, they're getting touches, but, it's not the same. And I think Derrick Henry, he had to adjust to that, because, and so did, because he has a quarterback that's dynamic. So it's like, okay, hey, and I'm not going to get the ball 35 times. I may just get it 20, 18. But, I'm going to maximize those opportunities. So that's what I like about what he's saying about with the team. And I think a lot of that is a holdover from, what Coach McCullum was always on the guys about.
So hearing him now and what he had to say, does that make you feel more comfortable about what you asked? And now that you know that Kedron Young is going to play, and now that backfield by committee that Dylan established seems like it's going to continue, does that make you feel more comfortable with the running back usage going into the season? Without a doubt.
And just the fact that his emphasis on pass protection is, and we talked about it last year, that is a key. Is a key factor. Is like, not only do you have to go through your pass protection assignment, you also have to be thinking, okay, if somebody loses their block, I got to come in and step up and be that stopper against possibly a 315-pound defensive tackle. And you got to have in your mind, be prepared for that. Be ready to address that. Because a lot of times, so many guys just they allow things to surprise them. Because I know I did. If, like, again, you get split a double team and somebody shows up in your face like that, that's a shot. But if you have a mind to say, okay, hey, things can happen, so I got to be ready to do my job and then do more. And that's why I was saying with the running back position, I don't think it gets it's with Saquon having the season he did, Derrick Henry, and and those other guys. Like I said, I think they kind of brought back some of the value principle for the running back position, and this backfield this could be lights out.
Lucky Lefty Podcast, as always, subscribe on YouTube, hit the thumbs up. If you got a GTB question or a super chat, go ahead, throw it in. Even if it's something for Reg, throw it in. We'll get to it immediately. We respond to all. Lucky Lefty Pod on Twitter, X, TikTok, Instagram. We are brought to you courtesy of Bleav, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, Bleav Network, and in partnership with FanDuel. Speaking of that 40-1 odds, Reg, you mentioned earlier that the Heisman is pretty much set up for the quarterback to win. And it should not shock you that the greatest odds to win a Heisman on the Notre Dame roster over at FanDuel does not belong to Jeremiyah Love. I know everybody was like, what? It is actually CJ Carr, who is 31-1 to win the Heisman right now. And he's never taken a snap. And he's in the middle of a quarterback battle. But yet and still, over at FanDuel, they must know something about the quarterback battle that everybody else doesn't know. But yeah, CJ Carr is 31-1 over at FanDuel to win the Heisman.
Hey.
So as we get ready to transition, we heard from JUAN SEIDER, and now we get ready to hear from that uber talented running back room that JUAN SEIDER has the privilege of coaching. Reggie Brooks, Sean Davis, in for MALIK ZAIRE, who's under the weather. It's the Lucky Lefty Podcast. You already know. We spin it different. All right. Back, Bleav Network, Apple Podcast, Spotify, in partnership with FanDuel. It's the Lucky Lefty Podcast. Hit us up. Hit that like button. Subscribe on YouTube, Lucky Lefty Podcast, on all platforms of social media, Instagram, Twitter, X, and TikTok. Lucky Legends and Players Only podcast coming during the season. One of the co-hosts right there, that dude, Reggie Brooks, he's going to be over at patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network. And as always, for news, recruiting news, and for merchandise, go over to LuckyLeftyPod.com. So let's talk about these running backs and hear from these running backs. And the first to speak to the media was Jadarian Price, the Texan himself. You heard JUAN SEIDER talk about the usage. Two backs in the backfield or on the field at the same time, and Jadarian Price was asked about that as well. His thoughts.
Denbrock's given us a lot of plays every day. It's been challenging, but pretty fun. You know, we've been asking for this back when Coach McCullough was here, and Coach Denbrock finally has listened to us. So we'll have a lot in store this upcoming fall.
And then as you sort of come into another year healthy, what is the next stride that you feel like you need to take to be where you want to be?
Just productive on every down. Just being able to be trustworthy on every down. That's all I need to work on.
Coach SEIDER mentioned in the spring, as a former quarterback, he could help you guys see the game from a different perspective. 6 months in, do you kind of view the game differently at that point?
Yeah, I think I'm a smarter football player. With the knowledge I have now, I think I could have played quarterback back in high school. Probably not college level, but back in high school. But it's a pretty good attribute to have, just being able to see the field. We're back there with the quarterback, so we see what he sees, but it helps us a lot in the pre-snap read.
Yeah, pre-snap read. No, I had a good conversation with him when he was back home, back this way. Extremely impressive young man. Like I said, smart young man, very cerebral in his approach. And a lot of that's the reason that and I told him, I said, hey, production, but don't rush. I want to see him play with more patience, not play slower, but play with more patience and not feel that he has to do everything on every play. Just play within yourself, trust yourself, and know that you have the capacity, the capability. You already have all that. Now you just need to go out and play and not try to press. Just play the game as you've been playing it. You see it. He talked about the pre-snap read. Now it's being more productive. And to be more productive for him is, at least in my eyes, is to run with better patience so he can, attack those gaps and also set up those blocks better to where, because he has the speed. He has the quickness and the power. Now he just needs to run with that patience, see it, hit it, get it, and go.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because you can see Jadari, he's so quick and so he wants to get to the outside and make that big run. You're right. I think learning how to set those blocks up, and like you said, with his ability and his quickness and his shakeability, you know, if he becomes patient, he's going to do even more damage in the run game, right?
No
He's
doubt.
always a big play waiting to happen, always.
And again, and you know, we talked about, because again, when you're, and I think again that 2-back system, that's going to play like very well, because he's a good blocker, and so is Jeremiyah. But like I said, you'll see them, and it's going to make it easier for him to run off of Jeremiyah, and vice versa, because you're not trying to. And I told him, don't compete against Jeremiyah, compete with him. You guys are your competition is the defense, not each other. But you can go out there and set the bar and say, okay, Jeremiyah did this, boom, I go do this. But play within yourself, but keep competing with each other to make yourself better. And I always remember that about me and Jerome. We shared a backfield, but we were never, you know, looking to, you know, if somebody did something good, man, I enjoy watching that brother play. To be that big and have feet like that, I mean, we all saw what he did when he got to the next level. But just elevate your play, will elevate the play of your teammates.
Yeah. Yeah. Jadarian Price then talked about year 2, because you heard him there, Reg. He talked about, man, we've been begging Coach McCullough and Coach Denbrock to put me and Jeremiyah on the field at the same time. They're finally giving us what we've been asking for. And he also talked about what it's like to be in year 2 of Mike Denbrock's offense.
Year 2 with Coach Denbrock, I mean, it's a lot more, it's higher expectations. You can see what we did last year. So he's on us on every play, even the smallest details, you know, not being quick enough on motions and things like that. So we're very much more confident in this offense, but it's a higher expectation. So
building off of that, the success of last year, having that confidence, how much motivation does this team have after making that run, but then just coming up short of the ultimate goal?
A lot of motivation. I was so excited to come back and be with this team again. And, you know, it's a new team. We got a couple new faces, but, you know, relationships stay the same. You know, we're all in this together. We got a common goal, and it doesn't matter who we face up against or what happens. We're just going to go in and week out and take care of business. But, you know, it's a lot of motivation. That's one of the things that's going to motivate me throughout the season for sure.
Oh, yeah. And I've gotten to know Mike Denbrock, and you know, that was the thing. And I mentioned this on the show. It's like, you know, the quarterbacks that he's working with this year, he's had more than a year. But it also, you know, addresses the running backs too, because now he sees the talent that they have, the capacity and the capability. And it's like, okay, now I know the pieces I'm working with, and I know not only the component of the quarterback, I know the components of the running back, to where, okay, hey, you know, I think it was more like I said, he was like, yeah, 2 backs make sense because I have a better sense of what the running backs can do. And again, they're not, you know, they're not split. They're still a unit. They would know how to work well together. But more importantly, I really think the 2-back system is going to benefit the quarterback, because he'll have 2 blockers back there, but also 2 more runners. And again, a little bit more protection. And it's going to allow them to max protect. But if you know, again, guys don't rush, you can get a back out of the backfield. And you got 2 guys that can get out in either direction, you know, depending on where you set protection, and they can get out and get in the passing game, and it gives you more options than doing a 21 personnel or 12 personnel.
Yeah. I will say this. One of the practices we were at, I saw some extensive work by Joe Rudolph on Pass Pro to set up the screen game. Pass Pro to set up the screen game. So you talk about that. That's another facet of the game that I think is going to benefit young quarterbacks early with defenses that are probably going to try to apply as much pressure as they can. And like you said, if they catch them with those talented running backs, if they catch teams in the blitz, it's to the house majority of the time.
And you can go both ways.
Yeah.
You can, like I said, you can go either side with the screen, or you can, like I said, fake one side, come back to the other. So it gives you a lot of it puts a lot more pressure on the defense because your offense is more balanced in terms of you can go either side, right or left with, whether it's protection, whether it's, routes, you can, flood because it just gives you more balance as an offense instead of having the, offset back.
Yeah. Then he was talked about how he's improved, what he's worked on with his game. And this is what he had to say.
I think a lot of people know we're dangerous, but we just want to be able to get better than we were last year. We showed a couple weaknesses here and there, and just filling the gaps and separating ourselves between other people, and just challenging ourselves to get better, whether it's in the passing game or the running game, or just even making ourselves valuable with special teams as well.
What aspects of your game have you really worked on during the offseason?
Coach SEIDER's brought us, challenged us to be smarter and just being able to read the game. And I worked on slowing the game down and not be so frantic in my movements and my footwork and just being able to set up blocks. I think that's what I worked on a lot, is setting up blocks and being more patient in the run game. But also in the pass game, what I've been working on the past 3 years is what NFL scouts want to see, and that's pass blocking, but ultimately it's to protect our quarterbacks.
You played this game before, Reg. You kind of read your dumpsters.
I kind of understand what he was saying. I kind of can relate.
No, you literally said what he needed to improve upon. He went ahead and just confirmed exactly what you just spoke about in his game with his patience.
And again, that's the thing about it. It's like, but it also takes him to be receptive of the exchange, because like I said, I've never been one to say, well, hey, I can, break down any running back and what they need to do, this and that. Yeah, I could, but like I said, again, it needs to come from you. You need to understand this, okay, as we're talking through it, do you see it? And that's when you can self-correct. That's when you did a hell of a coaching job. When you have backs that hear, process, and see themselves, oh yeah, I see what you're saying regarding, hey, I need to be a little more patient on this run. My footwork needs to be a little more exact and pronounced. And the running back position it requires a level of calm because there's always chaos going on because you're in the middle of everything, whether it's a run, a pass, if you're blocking, running, catching, and there's a lot going on. So you have to process a lot of information. And the best coaches are the ones that can process, that get you to understand and process whatever information that they're trying to, get you to go through. And, and I, again, just having the opportunity to speak with him and just brief conversation, I'm like, I've always had I've always been a fan of his as a back. And I can just see it's like, man, if he just a little bit more patient, because if he gets out, that's 6, baby. It's to the house. So I'm excited to watch his development and his growth because he has all the tools he needs to be a dynamic back at the next level.
Lucky Lefty podcast. We transition from Jadarian Price to the Heisman hopeful Jeremiyah Love, who was asked about his goals for the season.
My goals for myself is to just be better than I was last year. It's specific like numerical goal. Just want to be a better player, better person. And as a team, I want to be better than we were last year as well. We know what it takes to achieve greatness, and just here to put in the work every single day, and that's going to be our key to being better than we were last year.
How has your running evolved? And tell us your running style. How would you define yourself as a runner?
My running style is pretty much the same as I've always been. I can pretty much be anything I need to be: power back, elusive back, athletic back, jump over people, whatever I need to be. Nothing's really changed in that perspective. But what was the other question? I'm sorry.
In terms of your evolution, well, tell us how's your blocking as well as your pass catching out of the backfield?
Blocking, I've gotten significantly better from my freshman year, I would say. More of a physical back. I can hold off bigger defenders, partly because of my weight gain, working in the weight room, and pass blocking, pretty much solid now.
Okay, I never really understood the whole running style. You just run, man. You run what other people determine whatever style that is. He just runs to whatever he sees and adapts and adjusts. Again, if I need to be agile and explosive, or if I need to speed. So it's like, that's why I think he has questions like, so what was the question? Because it's like running style. I run. I mean, I didn't, what I don't look at it as a style. This is just what I do, and then you can just see it. It's like running style. It was like, be honest with you, I said, I've never even, people come up with those terminologies that, your running style is power back or speed back. And it's like, I've always been of the mind, you do what you need to do to get the job done. So if you need to be explosive and, sometimes you need to be a power back when you're running between the tackles. You need to be a speed back when you're trying to get out on the edge and get that corner. So you adapt based on the need of the play and what's the expectation of what you're trying to get done.
It was a question that made you say, oh boy. All right.
Yeah, because I've never really, you hear about it, because like I said, people said Jerome was a power back. Yeah, right. A lot of times he would use power, but I've seen this man do a jump cut.
Yeah.
I've seen this man get to the edge and shake a guy. So it's like, okay, power back, but one can move.
Yeah.
Like I've seen him break somebody down.
Yeah.
And I've seen him run through somebody's chest.
Yeah.
So it's just, that's always, kind of, where did that come from? I don't know.
He was also asked about the explosiveness. How explosive can the running backs be, and the offense for that matter?
Well, I would say,
take that game
we've seen the explosive.
Being like, it's going to be our motivation to get back there. Like, we just want to be the best version of ourselves. And that happens. We go back to the Natty and we win it, and that's great. But I would say, as a team, we're not looking at that game and be like, we got to use it as confidence. It's more just everyday things. We want to be the best version of ourselves. I'm going to keep saying it because that's really the goal. The goal is not to, the goal is to win a national championship. But if all else fails, the goal is to be better as football players and as academics, whatever it may be, just be better versions of ourselves. And some people might use the game as motivation or confidence, but me personally, I do the same things every day, no matter what's happened in the past. I'm just going to continue to try to better myself.
And how dangerous is this running backs room as a whole, top to bottom?
I would say, me personally, I feel like everybody in that room can make a play wherever it's needed. And that's just big because coaches trust us, we can trust each other, our teammates trust us, and we're just a very explosive offense in general. It's not just the backfield. You got the receiver, you got JD, JG, you got Will, you got everybody who can make plays. In the quarterback room, you got CJ or Kenny. They throw a bomb to JD or Will or myself. They put me out wide. So it's not just running back room who's explosive. Everybody's explosive. The whole team.
You love to hear that. And I think the thing that stood out in that particular clip for me was where I loved him saying, like, man, that loss is not my motivation. Like, I approach every day, regardless of the past. I approach every day with the need and the hunger to get better. So even if we had won, I would still want to be better. And I would have moved on from that. You know, I'm not allowing the outcomes to dictate my situation and my work ethic. I loved hearing that from that young man, especially as one of the leaders on the team.
And every game is a new game, new opportunity, new chance to do something better than you did before. And again, they're not playing Ohio State. You know, they're playing Miami first, and they got Texas A&M, and it's one game at a time. And they said, something I like to do, I call it a daily reset. And it's each day, get up, do my, have my prayers, and kind of map out what do I need to do today? What do I want to get accomplished? And then you go back and see what did I get done, what didn't I get done, and like you said, get better each day. And every day is an opportunity to be better, to do better, to accomplish something that you didn't accomplish yesterday. It's because yesterday is gone, and today is what you have, and you have to make the most of it. So I'm right there with you. I love his perspective. Again, hey, you don't forget losses like that. I mean, that's painful, but it's not something that, it shouldn't be something that drives you, because that has happened. That's past. Where are we going now? Let's go forward, because this is a brand new team. And everybody starts from scratch, and you got to take advantage of every opportunity that you get. And that's going to be those 12 games that's going to get you to the point where you want to be, and that's the college football playoffs.
And I think they're going to get back. Matter of fact, over at FanDuel, they have the shortest odds to go undefeated in the regular season at 12-1.
Oh, wow.
Shortest odds to go undefeated in the regular season. That's the Fighting Irish over at FanDuel. If you want to go and get that value bet for your Fighting Irish right now, FanDuel app or FanDuel.com. The next thing Jeremiyah Love talked about, that sparked your interest there, huh, Rick?
Wow. I'm not a betting person, but that's I mean, looking at the setup of the schedule.
Yeah. Jeremiyah talked about everything that
you got two. So
yeah. So Jeremiyah Love also met with the media, and he talked about what he was excited to show off in his game this upcoming season. What was he excited to show off?
I would say I'm excited to showcase more of my receiving ability, because obviously everybody knows I can run. I want to showcase more of my blocking as well. This year I hope to be more of, in the pass blocking game. But really just I want to, showcase more of my receiving abilities.
And then what's kind of allowed you to stay grounded? I mean, obviously there's a lot of hype around your name entering the season. What's kind of allowed you to stay humble and grounded?
It just, from the get-go, I've never really paid attention to stuff like that. I hear it, it's cool to hear, but at the end of the day, everything lies in my own work, and that's really all I care about at the end of the day. I really could care less about what anybody else has to say, because I want to be complete with myself. I want to, prove to myself that I am who I am. So pretty much just don't listen to it. It could be good, it could be bad. Try to tune everything out.
Says he's not listening to the hype.
You can say you're not listening, but it's hard not to hear it in this day and age. Like, it's literally everywhere and constant. And I didn't start out with the Heisman talk, but like I said, as the year progressed, you start hearing it. No, somebody over here and people on campus, and I don't envy him from that standpoint because again, the media are going to continue to bring it up. People around campus are going to continue to bring it up when he's in class, and it's just going to be a constant barrage of it. And I like his perspective. It was like I said, hey, that's your opinion, and you're welcome to it. And it was not, but it's going to become more and more challenging to keep the noise out, and I would love to see him find a space, a place of respite to where he can go somewhere and just disconnect, because there are Heisman for other teams, Heisman hopefuls for other teams, but you're at Notre Dame, man. So there's whether people want to admit it or not, there's a greater emphasis when you have such high expectations at Notre Dame, and and everybody's looking to him. So I just would love to tell him, man, you love your perspective, but find a place to go to where you can just whether go to somewhere with your parents, but find some place to go to where you can just have a level of silence, or just people that aren't talking about that, because it's going to be everywhere all the time.
To be honest, Reg, embrace it. Embrace this. This is his last season. I mean, he's going to the league after this season. This is his last season at Notre Dame. Everybody knows that. So, like you saw, the hype, Heisman, national championship hopes as a team. You just hope the young man embraces it and just.
Well, I think he will, but I said, again, I get what you're saying. Like I said, embrace it and enjoy it, but he's going to have to find a way to disconnect from it, because
that's true.
It's that's my only thing. Just ever so often find a spot to where you can just breathe, because it's going to be a nonstop love fest. No pun intended,
right?
Yeah, but it's going to be a love fest. And again, it's going to, there's always going to be a level of pressure, because you have and it's not even from out and externally. It's like you don't want to let your team down. And he strikes me as that type of person that said, we want to get better. And I know I have to be at my best. But again, I will always go back to that run against Navy, where how he got that in the ball in the end zone. That just speaks volumes to me about just how committed and focused that he is.
Yeah. He was also asked, Reg, about what he has learned from others in the running back room. I love this conversation he had with the media. What has he learned from others in the running back room?
I would say that I learned from them, like I can say JD, for instance. JD's very good with his footwork. Like he does a very good job of, getting his feet on the ground, like whenever he's making cuts. Like with me, I'm more of like a bouncy type of guy. Like I'll make a cut, I'm in the air for a little bit. So like what I take from JD's game is, get your feet on the ground faster so that you can be able to make your next move. And that's what I can take from JD. Jabron, he's a very great pass blocker. So like I can, shape my technique after his, because my freshman year watching Jabron, I don't think I saw a game where Jabron let up a sack on the QB or let a linebacker get past him or Nick or anybody. So just things like that. I can take, certain people's skill sets and try to incorporate that into my own.
I like that. That goes back to JUAN SEIDER talking about the unselfishness in the running back room and the respect they have for one another, and how they can look at each other's games and like take attributes that can push them to get better. Love hearing that from Jeremiyah Love and how he respects the games of Jabron Payne and Jadarian Price.
Yeah, like I said, it's about your development, but it's also about us being the best group and not competing against each other, but competing with each other, making each other better, learning from each other, and boosting each other up. That's where I think again that is done. Coach McCullough did a masterful job, but the players as well are doing something outstanding by maintaining that togetherness and that support for one another.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was Jeremiyah Love and his conversation with the media. Now we go to Aeneas Williams, the old soul and leader, one of the leaders of the room, according to running back coach JUAN SEIDER. And he talked about, man, are you that old soul? What's up with your game?
It's really been the same, but obviously just more advanced. Taking recovery more serious, especially camp. Taking recovery, my weight, and really staying on top of that. I'm looking to be more, trying to get faster this year, so I dropped the weight a little bit. That way just run, add to open field runs, things like that. I would just say kind of came in with the same mindset, looking to do the same things just at a higher rate.
Okay. And at this time, how would you describe your strength?
I feel like I'm stronger than ever right now. I feel really good right now. My body feels healthy. I was a little knocked up, banged up at the end of the year, but I feel really good coming into fall camp.
You got to see a punt return the other day. How comfortable and how excited are you about that one?
Oh, I'm excited wherever they put me. But yeah, that's just a big role. Shout out Max Harleman. He really made that position fun again. I would say just seeing him back there and just being able to be on the field as much as I can, really, that's the biggest thing. And, whether it's punt return, kick return, glad to be wherever.
And Coach SEIDER described you as an old soul in that leader, in that room, and said you're kind of a leader in that running back room despite the fact that you're one of the younger guys. How have you approached it?
I think that's just the way I approach the game. And especially now, I think, shout out Devin Ford, so he was my roommate for camp, and I think he rubbed off on me a lot, just the way he prepared for camp and, how he was in the room, asking these questions, not necessarily just for me, but for other guys to be able to hear. I think it was big for me to take Nolan under my wing a little bit, and just because I was in his shoes just last year, so being able to, not ask questions for myself, but, just it's bigger than me, and with this room that we're going to have, we're all going to be up each other, or at each other's throats all year, just because we're so deep. So just having everyone ready to go at all times is only going to make.
Yeah, it's only going to make them better to have that depth. I'll say this, Reg. For him to mention, ladies and gentlemen, let's remember this. This young man bust on the scene as a true freshman is mentioning Devin Ford as one of the reasons he was able to learn how to be a football player at Notre Dame, how to be a running back at Notre Dame, and how he was able to learn and grasp everything and get on the field. Devin Ford, ladies and gentlemen, because of the depth, was moved to defense. And after Jabron Payne's injury, came back into the running back room. And you never heard a peep. Not 1 ounce of dissension from that young man. So you talk about the unselfishness that JUAN SEIDER walked into, which, Reg, you pointed to, that was Dylan McCullough. That was what he established that allowed JUAN SEIDER to walk into that unselfish room. And here you have Aeneas Williams just affirming that with his comments about Devin Ford, someone that hardly got on the field or hardly got carries last year. It just speaks volumes.
And that for me, that was Anthony Johnson. He was the guy that looked after me in the running back room. And, again, I was low man on the totem pole. They had some, my class, you had Dorsey Levens. I mean, it was just a slew of guys. but he took some time to just say, hey, how does he prepare? How does he perceive things? What can I do to get better? I didn't have to ask. He came to me and said, hey, let me help you out. And again, he saw that I was struggling. I wasn't saying anything. I was just like suffering in silence. And, but to have that type of leadership, that makes a huge difference. And, I've always said the team takes on the persona of the head coach. And this is, to me, Marcus Freeman. That's a testament to his coaching style, and not just the head coach, but impacts the assistant coaches. They take his lead, and thus you see that in the players.
I just loved him. To have him mention Jabron Payne, I think that you love that. You love that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I love this as well, because he was able to talk about his expectations of the running back room as a youngster, and this is what he had to say.
Obviously, we got the same expectations going into this year, just looking to build off of my role and, just do more. A sneak peek would probably just say a little bit more out of the backfield. Obviously, run the ball a little bit more and even get out in space, out in the slot a little bit.
How have you evolved as a runner, as a receiver, and as a blocker?
I would just say just the mentality that I came with this year. Obviously, last year was a growth mindset, just looking to grow and expand. This year, I'm really comfortable just with the things that are thrown at me, and just looking to build off of what I did last year, and then just knowing more, like having more sense of awareness of like what the defense is in. Just being a vet. Honestly, that'd be my honest answer. Just playing more like a vet.
Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's the mindset. Again, just being a vet. Learning, growing up and getting out there, being a leader. And you don't always have to lead and I got to show you this. No, you lead by learning. And if they see you getting better and you striving to improve and to do more and like I said, and make the most of your opportunities, other people see you. You don't have to go out and talk about it. Just go do it. And that's kind of just the approach that I see from him, is that I'm just going to go out there and compete, do my job, work to get better. And, again, and see, and he's getting better because he's going to get more opportunities. Again, coaches, they have a thing about, being able to trust you. And those that they trust, they put the ball in that person's hands.
Let me update this because I gave this earlier. Now, Notre Dame is no longer over at FanDuel, the odds-on favorite to go undefeated during the regular season. They were earlier today because I checked. Now they have been supplanted by the Ohio State Buckeyes. Plus 390, Notre Dame plus 410. So, why I think that is over at FanDuel? You know why I think that is? I do think there is some consternation surrounding the quarterback situation. I don't understand why, but I think the unknown.
The unknown. You just answered your own question. It's the unknown.
The unknown. It's as simple as that. But I still think that's great value over at FanDuel for Notre Dame to go undefeated. Let's get to one more guy. The guy that JUAN SEIDER said, this young man is someone you've spoken about even last season. JUAN SEIDER earlier in the show said that he had to ask him, like, yo, what, you're super talented. What happened last year? And that's none other than 240 pounds of funk by the name of Kedron Young out of the state of Texas. Yeah, 240 pounds that I got to see up close and personal last week, and I'm here to tell you, it's not a fluffy 240. Yeah, this is 240 pounds of granite. This dude is built, his arms cut, and this young man is ready to unleash. And he talked about last year to this year at the same time, what's been the difference for him. And this is what the young man had to say about that to the media.
I'm bigger, stronger now. I'll also say, learning from last year, just from like the guys. I mean, it's all about getting better, right? I think watching the older guys from last season just got me better, like in fall camp, because you're watching them from the from the sideline. You're watching what they do, how they move, how they recover. So I think just watching guys, the older guys from last year, and not even just like running backs, just everybody, how they approach the game, I think it got me better from this year. I'm implementing that into my game.
And then none of us know the feeling of running somebody over. What is that feeling like?
I would say it definitely brings out a lot of energy.
Yeah, the last part, he was talking about how running over people brings out a different energy for him. That's part of his game. Like, he wants contact. He loves contact. You went back, talked about playing with Jerome, who was very nimble, but at the same time, he loved contact. Yes, he loved contact.
No doubt.
And that's because he was a linebacker as well.
Yeah,
in high school, a very good linebacker.
Very physical.
Yeah,
could have been All-American linebacker just as much as running back. I mean, he was an athlete, no doubt about it. And see, I love Kendron's approach. Yeah, you could just see this, the whole group. Everybody spoke. They just it's a group. Their community. They're the running back room, and that the energy is us. This is about us. So y'all can ask you questions, but I'm here for my brother. I'm gonna make sure I step up and do what I need to do. And I love how they've been talking about recovery. Man, that is very, very key. Again, this goes back to, like I said, how you recover and come back and replenish your body, and that requires you to know your body. Mm-hmm. You need to understand, hey, when difference between being hurt and being injured. What are the things that you need to do? What do you need to eat? The rest you need. Ice bath. What are the things that gets your body back into a point? Because you're never going to be 100%. Football. You can go through. You can kind of get back to 100% before the next season. But once you start, and that's practice, games, you're never 100% again until you allow your body complete rest. And that just, so the more you can, allow recovery and, and kind of healing as much as you can during the week, that's critical.
I'm going to ask you about that when we get done with this young man. He had one more conversation with the media about being 240 and carrying that weight and how he feels. This is what he had to say about being 240 pounds of granite in the backfield. Hope it comes up. There we go.
Like I said, I think I feel faster and stronger, but I think like you said, just when you run into contact, people bump off of you.
I'm gonna try and start it over for you, Red, to see if we can get it better. I don't know why.
I think I feel faster and stronger, but I think like you said, just when you run into contact, people bump off of you, or you run and sail, and then all your weight is against them. So I think it just gives the advantage of when I'm running fast and somebody tries to tackle me, I can break the tackle. Even with my speed, I feel a lot faster now also. So I think just with the speed and everything. So
Yeah, I think people might confuse like, oh, you're 240, you're heavier, you lose a step. How did the strength and conditioning staff convince you that, hey, bulking up is actually going to help you with your speed too?
Technique. Throughout the summer, we worked on a lot of technique. That's what we do every day. Just learning technique of we did A skips and we always do that type of stuff.
So 240, he picks up weight. I definitely want to get your feedback on this. He said he feels faster. He definitely feels stronger. He gets up to 240. He said it's all about technique. I don't know if you saw the clip that was posted by Notre Dame and several people in the media of him running the bags. Great feat at that size. So how much do you think the added weight is going to impact his game, or is it going to help his game like he feels like it will?
It really depends on the type of weight that he put on. If he put on more muscle, he's probably leaner. He looks leaner just in seeing him. And like you said, he's not a puffy 240. He's again, the muscle mass is key because again, your body reacts in like muscle tears down. It breaks down, but then you build it back up. Fat is not good. So I would be interested to see what his body fat content was because I think it's probably pretty low. And you can move weight as long as the weight is part of your muscles move and react. So he's not moving, shifting his weight from a overweight standpoint. He's moving weight because his technique, his body has acclimated to moving at a faster pace, just heavier. And his ability to change. It would be interesting what his ability to change direction is, but straight line. That's going to be a problem for some people. And again, like I said, using his weight against other people. So when they collide, it's going to be interesting to see who goes backwards.
Well, I can tell you now. I can confirm one thing for you. It was all muscle that he added. I can tell you that. I saw it up close and personal. This dude is, man. First of all,
just seeing legs, his shoulders, it's like, yeah.
His legs are like the size of, his legs are monstrous. And then he's so cut, his arms are so defined. I was like, okay. Their entire team, and I said this at the start of the show, Reg, I was really impressed just during stretch. Like, okay, this team looks different. This looks like an elite football team when they get off the bus. I don't know what they're gonna do once they get in between the lines, but like running out the tunnel and stretching, yeah, they look a little different. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. When Marcus Freeman walks out the tunnel like he did against Texas A&M down in Miami, he's gonna have some biggins behind him. Yeah, I guarantee you that. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing Will Black 6'7", man, it's gonna be different. We had a question for you, Reg. ND9 says, speaking of not this one. ND9 says, speaking of that bag drill I mentioned, I read where a guy said it was sped up. He's a hater though. Ladies and gentlemen, I can confirm that bag drill was not sped up, and I almost got ran over by Jeremiyah Love staring at their feet and didn't see him coming straight at me. And saw him at the last minute and moved out the way. So no,
be careful now. Don't get hurt.
Dude, that wasn't sped up at all. All right, here's the question for you, Reg. D-Mont, Mr. Food Lover. Reggie, Aeneas Williams reminds me of you. Do you see any resemblance in him that reminds you of yourself?
I would say he's better than, we're at the stage he is now. He's better than where I was as a sophomore. I was playing defense. So just his thought process, his pass protection, because I was getting my behind handed to me trying to pass protect as a freshman. It was not great. But looking at Aeneas, I really haven't got to see his explosiveness because, again, I want to see him out the backfield. That's where I think he can be the most impactful. Is he was talking about lining up in the slot, his ability, because, again, they throw the ball. We didn't throw the ball at all. So I really think he is going to be kind of a linchpin I'm just saying it now. He's going to be that second back on third down. That's going to be nasty because you can either have Jeremiyah in there, you can have, Jadarian Price, you can have. So he provides. Can you imagine him and Kendrick Young in the backfield? Woo! Yeah, that's going to be nice. So I'm excited, really excited about the two-back system. I think that's going to be a huge game breaker for Notre Dame, and they got a lot of options to choose from.
All right. That is your running backs for the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, talking about their expectations, their goals, second year Mike Denbrock's offense, and how good is that running back room going to be and how selfless they are and how much they love each other right here, Lucky Lefty Podcast. Coming up next, we got 4 on the way out for Reg. 4 good questions on the way out the door before we get out of here. Lucky Lefty Podcast, you already know, we spin it different. All right, 4 for 4. Let's see how Reg lines them up and knocks them down right here as we're on our way out the door. Lucky Lefty Podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. We're brought to you audio side, Bleav Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, FanDuel app, FanDuel.com. Notre Dame is plus 410 to go undefeated, and they have a win total of 10.5 over at FanDuel. That's 10.5 games. Notre Dame has hit the over the last 3 seasons. Expect them to hit the over again. They'll get 11 wins this year to hit that over at FanDuel.com, or you can download the FanDuel app. Great partner right here, Lucky Lefty Podcast, Twitter X, TikTok, Instagram, Lucky Lefty Pod, and Patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network, the Players Only Podcast. Players Only. Coming up soon with that guy, Reg, Oscar McBride, Jerron Jones. I think CJ's locked in this year. Devin Butler. You got a whole host of guys that are going to be on the Players Only Podcast. That's because we are the home of the misguided passion and forever committed to making sure. Yeah, Jack Swarbrick was talking. I feel like he was talking about us when he said that. We're the home of the misguided passion, and we're forever committed to making sure that we spin it different. All right, question number 1. Reg, you mentioned strength and conditioning. Marcus Freeman, it was kind of controversial when he decided to go get somebody else to lead the strength and conditioning department at Notre Dame. I think his foresight was, I need to get an NFL guy because we're about to go through an NFL-type schedule moving forward with playoff expansion. Lauren Lando comes in. The question is, there were significant injuries last year, but you talked about being impressed with the recovery, as several of the running backs talked about recovery and how quickly players were able to get back from injury and to get depth to Notre Dame. That even when they had injuries, they had people that were right there ready to carry the load all the way to the national championship game. So, your thoughts on strength and conditioning under Lauren Lando?
Well, again, like the recovery aspect, but again, it's not just one individual. I mean, I know, again, that Notre Dame has a sports performance program. And a lot of times when you kind of do something different, a lot of the injuries, more soft tissue injuries. So, and that was the thing that I was concerned about is like, are they hydrating? Are they stretched well? And so, and again, you got young guys that their body is changing because Are you more of a powerlifting program versus, muscle endurance? So you go, lower weights but higher volume. So again, I don't know any of this, so I'm just speculating. You get bigger. Are you getting stronger? Are you getting faster? And based on what Kendra Young said, he's picked up weight, but he's gotten faster. And that comes from, knowing your body. They have a lot of the technology they have now. You can zero in and say, okay, hey, this is the ideal weight for me, to be at my most efficient and effective. So I got to give, as it stands now, I got to give him a thumbs up because, like I said, the guys will look bigger, physically stronger, and it's good. But Saturday is when, this first game will be Sunday. We'll find out exactly, how effective the program was.
In my mic. Oh, come on, man. Oh, there we go. I kept muting myself. Lucky podcast. So let's get to the next one. 4 for 4 on the way out. Now, the biggest challenge offensively and defensively for the Fighting Irish will be what?
Well, the biggest challenge offensively is protecting the quarterback, and how effective will the quarterback be? I mean, that's going to determine, whoever it is, how effective will the quarterback be in terms of moving the ball and don't panic. You can't panic. You can't flinch. We call it don't flinch. And that's going to determine if they hit that mark of undefeated or not. It's all going to reside with the quarterback because, they're the key, because you have all these other components. I think the receiving core has gotten better. I think the tight end room is going to be a difference maker. Is, can we keep the quarterback upright, and can the quarterback be that guy? Again, we don't need him to win the game. Just manage the resources that you have. Get the ball in the hands of your playmakers. That's what they need to be able to do, and not try to do anything above and beyond. That was always my gripe with Riley, is like, you're not going to be perfect. You can strive for perfection, but you're not going to be perfect. Trust yourself, trust your teammates. And this is going to, and I think having guys that have been there for multiple years, that trust factor is going to be the key. Will they be able to trust each other to move the ball and be effective offensively? And it all starts with the quarterback. Defensively, I mean, this secondary is phenomenal. So I would be, even losing, the top guy, Ben Morrison, I still think the secondary is elite. The biggest key is, can we stop the run between the tackles? Plain and simple. Our defensive tackles have got to step up and, first of all, stay healthy. Secondly, we got to keep those games up the middle to a minimum. If the defense can solidify the middle of the field, this is going to be a great year, because you got some linebackers that are just ridiculously athletic and can fly around making plays. We just need defensive tackles that can control a double team or force a double team, but also split a double team and put pressure on the quarterback up the middle, as opposed to having to just come off the edge. But we can control the middle of the field defensively, and the interior line, that's going to be the key.
Well, they sure have the depth. I think someone mentioned from the media when they spoke to Chris Ash and Marcus Freeman, like, we were looking at the defensive line guys in their drills, and you guys have 22 guys in defensive line drills. So the depth, they go at this point, they go so deep on the interior. I think they identified that as a problem, and they went to answer it in the offseason. They shored themselves up so that it wouldn't be a drop off, as you saw once Riley Mills went down and Howard Cross was hampered the entire year. Once those two were hampered and out of the picture, you saw the interior of that defense give up the run in 2 consecutive playoff games against Penn State and Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, that was the key. That interior line is, I mean, everything stops and starts there for this defense. And if they can get just the same monocle of the production that they got from Howard Cross and the guys, they'll be all right. But it's gonna take some work. Yeah. But, they got some bodies now. It's like, can those bodies produce? That's gonna be the key. You look at Rubio, getting him back. I think that's a huge piece of it. Josh Burnham, just Jason Onye. So they have they have the bodies. Mm-hmm. They just need the bodies to be effective.
That's for sure. Having the bodies is one thing. The next step is for those bodies to be effective. Everyone is talking about the quarterback, the unknown. For you, do you feel like Marcus Freeman and the staff have handled the quarterback situation through the spring? Eventually that led to Steve Angeli choosing to transfer to Syracuse. He's kept everything close to the vest. He's limited access from the media during his quarterback battle, even when there was 3 guys, now down to 2, and he still kind of kept it tight-lipped. Do you feel like they have a sense now who they think the quarterback is? And do you feel like the quarterback unknown is being overblown as far as its impact on the season?
Well, it's not overblown just for the fact that it's an unknown. And I like the fact that they keep it under wraps. I would be more concerned if I was seeing concern from the coaches. I think they have a great deal of confidence, and I wouldn't be shocked if both guys played. Mm. It wouldn't shock me to see both guys play, but I think the unknown, could work to their advantage because defenses have got to plan for both guys. Because again, and I don't see the angst, if you will, from either one of these guys. They're happy to be here, and they're playing ball, and that's the vibe of the team. And they've been able to kind of be low key because the expectation is not on them necessarily. They just got to go out, play their game, and do what they do. And if they can do that, I'd like the fact that they're keeping the pressure off of them, because it's like it's going to be who it's going to be. So y'all every day y'all go out and compete, and go out and do your best, and we'll make the decision. And it's not a deal where hey, one guy has to do this, and this. I just felt there was so much pressure on Riley Leonard last year. I just felt he was put in a really tough position, and you don't have the expectations are there, but they're just not as the pressure's not on one person. It's like it's 2 guys fighting for a job, and they're both competing, and I think that's going to actually benefit the team because they don't have that same pressure that they had, the quarterback had last year.
4 for 4 on the way out. The last one, you hit this one, you batting 1,000, Reg. Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman are trying to stack successful seasons and successful playoff bursts and hopefully long runs during the playoffs. My question for you, Reg, is do you think Marcus Freeman has allowed this program or developed this program to a point now where you feel, even as an alum, that they have turned the corner and this program is now a true national title, will be a true national title contender on an annual basis? Do you think they have turned the corner and have become that as a program?
I would say not yet, simply because, again, it's really been one real year. I mean, the last year was the first. Now they're starting to degree, like with this. So this year can establish that. So I will say not yet, but this year will, to me, be that defining year of, hey, this is a national contender on a continuous basis.
Yeah, I can agree with that, Reg. I think a lot of people, I'll say this though, being around the team, it just feels different.
Yeah.
It feels different. It's expectations, I'm sure. But just like I said, just being around the team, being around the coaches, like you said, with the quarterbacks, if the coaches weren't, full of confidence about both guys, then you might feel a little different. I think Marcus Freeman, when he met with the media and was asked about it, he was like, he thought they were a championship team last year, even after Northern Illinois. And when they lost their starting left tackle going into Texas A&M and had to start 2 freshmen, he still was saying, we're good enough to win a national championship. So it starts at the head, like you said a few minutes ago. And if that's the belief he moves with, hey, that team is a reflection of him. They are reflect. So it doesn't matter. Maybe we need another year, but maybe they believed it starting last year.
Yeah. No, as I said, I just, again, last year was great. You see there's a rep. I don't say improvement doesn't mean they win the national championship. It would be, it's definitely possible, but improvement would be, again, you don't have those slip ups at a Northern Illinois or the Miami of Ohio where you had you didn't quite when you're a consistent national championship level program, you take care of those little games.
Mm-hmm.
They don't crop up and bite you in the butt. So if we don't beat a Texas A&M and we lose a close game, that I want to see again, how do we handle the Syracuses, the Navies? Not the Navy is a bad team, but those teams that are of the Purdue's, that the teams you're supposed to beat, are you beating them at the level that you should be beating? That's when you've developed a level of consistency in playing at a championship level, because you don't play to the level of the competition. You play your brand of football. You play at your level week in and week out.
Kind of along the lines of what Jeremiyah Love was saying. Like, it doesn't matter who the opponent is or what the outcome is. We're working to get better every day. You guys, talking to all of you guys, dealing with Lou Holtz, you wanted to play a nationally ranked team and practice for them more than you wanted to practice for Army, Navy, or one of the lesser teams, because the practice leading into those games were rougher than the games against Miami and Michigan and USC.
Because we didn't have, he's like, he knew he didn't have to get us up for those games, but man, those, when we played Air Force or freaking Navy, oh my gosh, I hated those weeks. Those were the worst weeks of practice ever. I mean, it was like you if your toe was just a centimeter pointed the wrong way in your stance, you run it. So yeah, it was just, again, the nth degree. But again, that's how you make championship programs, is doing the little things the right way and focusing on the most minute things, like you said, to get better. What can I do to get better today?
So that's 4 for 4 with Reg on the way out the door. Bleav Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Go tap in, download all of our episodes over there. We had a great weekend of episodes breaking down the first 3 practices, camp battles, specifically the quarterback battle, and what Marcus Freeman had to say about it and what Mike Denbrock had to say about it. That's over at Bleav Network on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And in partnership with FanDuel, once again, Jeremiyah Love plus 4,000 to win the Heisman, and Notre Dame now second at plus 410 behind Ohio State at plus 390 to go undefeated during the regular season over at FanDuel. Great partner. That's FanDuel.com and the FanDuel app. Subscribe on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up for us. We thank you for joining us tonight. Great show. Hopefully Left will feel a bit better tomorrow and join us. Don't forget TikTok, Twitter, X, Instagram at Lucky Lefty Pod. Interesting question, Left. The Notre Dame social media page posted a video of the Notre Dame players in the locker room, and they were asked the question, what teammate would you not allow your daughter to date? What teammate would you not allow your daughter to date? So I ask you, like, go back to the locker room back in your days.
None of them. Not a one.
Not a one. I don't know why I thought that answer was coming.
Nope.
Like, Reg, you said not a one, huh?
Not one of them. Great teammates, but that's as far as we go with that.
Plain and simple. You heard it here first from Reg. Not a one. Lucky Lefty Podcast. If you guys didn't see that clip, go check it out on TikTok and Instagram at Indie Football. You'll be shocked because 2 guys, really 3 guys, dominated the voting.
Okay, I'm gonna check that out.
3 guys dominated the voting. It was pretty funny too. The guy that came in first, I clearly was like, yes, I can see that. I definitely can see that.
I gotta see that.
for the great legend, Reggie Brooks, I'm Sean Davis. Thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you guys staying up late with us. We were supposed to start at 5:30. We had to make adjustments because of Left's illness. And Reg, as always, thank you for being so gracious with your time and being a great big brother to us right here at Lucky Lefty Podcast.
Gotta always look out for family.
Yes, sir. You got one more rifle in you for that freshman going through high school?
Actually, she's gonna be the easiest one. I mean, she's about as level-headed as they come, so I don't worry about her.
Amen. Hey, we'll see everybody tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. Central Time, right here at Lucky Lefty Podcast. We're gonna hold off on the defense and Chris Ash conversation for tomorrow. Enjoy it. Tell everybody about the podcast, how great Reg was tonight. We'll see you guys tomorrow right here at Lucky Lefty Podcast. You already know we spin it different.